It's October 7th, 2025. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. As expected, a very active October. We'll go step by step, storm by storm, kind of storm system by storm system in this video. So thank you for your patience. I just do not want to leave anyone out. This here looks like it's trying to become Jerry, and it could just over the next day or so. I'll highlight that, of course, for us in the Caribbean. What this means, we'll go day by day, hour by hour. Then we swing here, a big coastal storm. We're going to see a system start to develop near the northern Bahamas, Florida, lift to the north, substantial impacts in parts of the east coast of the United States. I want to track that. Then this spot, we've had a very heavy rain overnight, parts of Mexico, back through Belize, Guatemala over the last week or so. We've had some almost historic levels of rain, record-breaking rain in spots. We're still seeing that. This area is going to work its way toward the Bay of Campeche, which it may develop a little bit in the back behind it. That's Priscilla. Two systems that'll work their way up toward the Baja, so watching parts of western Mexico and the southwestern portions of the United States, even over toward Texas for some additional rain. You can see just how much is going on. Now we look here, look at that rain over toward the Yucatan Peninsula, back through Belize from overnight. We've been seeing more of that near Guatemala, other parts of Mexico. This little area here, I'm going to watch it as it works its way over toward the bay. Elsewhere, scattered areas of heavier storms, a couple blobs of rain, not seeing development, but that coming into your screen, what could soon be Jerry. That's the next name on the list. So here's this. It is looking healthier from overnight. It looks like it is starting to develop some. Here we are in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Dominica, Antigua, and Barbuda, watching this area approaching us as we go throughout the next couple of days. Now, it is going to gradually take a turn to the north. I'll show you why, but we do need to watch this very carefully. Again, we're in monitor mode in some spots. I'll highlight that in just a second. Let me zoom down here and show you what it's kind of fighting through. Here we are in the Caribbean, here's South America. This is the area that's trying to become Jerry. Even though there's some dry air out ahead of it, this orange shading here, it's kind of fighting off that. It's kind of creating its own environment. So this could be a tropical depression rather soon, and then eventually Tropical Storm Jerry. And most of the models now are showing this area becoming a hurricane. Now, with that said, we hold in monitor mode. I value your resources, your time greatly. But if we have to go into action mode, I will also let you know. I'll do an additional video if need be. So I appreciate you subscribing. If you subscribe, if there's a new video, you'll get that alert first in case we need to go into action mode. As of now, we're holding in monitor mode. There is going to be a tropical system, most likely a tropical storm or even a hurricane near the northeastern Caribbean by Friday, right? The core as of now would be just to the north, but anywhere from about Puerto Rico, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, including St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Martin, St. Bart's, just picking a few spots down through Dominica. That's where we're watching this ever so closely. And if this shifts a little bit closer, we'll have a few islands that may need to go into action mode. At the least, we're going to see the high seas and additional rain for many of us, even down through parts of Grenada, Trinidad. We'll see some additional rain, but the core staying to the north. Now, here's the outlook. The American model has this becoming a hurricane. The European model now has this developing. It was kind of holding off a little bit. It has it becoming a tropical storm, even potentially a hurricane. The Canadian model has this a hurricane. The Icon German model has it not as a storm as of now, but the trend has been stronger with this. And that's why we're on high alert in the northeastern Caribbean, watching in the eastern Caribbean as a whole, watching this area together. And if anything sneaks a little bit closer, not only is that a problem because that means it would be moving into us, but we know these water temperatures are so very warm. They've cooled here. Here's Bermuda a little bit in the wake of Umberto and Imelda. But look at the southeast coast of the U.S. This is that Gulf Stream, warm water up through here. So as we watch this coastal storm develop here, could actually feed off of some of the warm water as well, and then watching over toward the southern Gulf and the Bay for this area coming out of Belize and Mexico that may try to spin up ever so briefly. These water temperatures, no doubt, not in our favor. Now, looking at the model and going storm by storm, watching this area first. Here we are in the Caribbean, Barbados, get back through Antigua, Barbuda, over toward Anguilla, watching St. Martin, St. Bart's. This area looks to make a curve. I do believe it will make a curve. It's just a matter of how soon. So long the core stays to the north and east, we'd be okay. This is a similar scenario as a whole to what we saw a bit with Aaron. Of course, Aaron was a whole lot closer toward Puerto Rico. This looks a little bit more toward the northeast, but point being, I expect it to be a close call for some of us like we saw with Aaron, but hopefully that core stays just off. Taking a look at some of the more of these computer models, this is the Google DeepMind. And you can see this did a very good job with Imelda showing that curve. This black line would keep the core away, but if this gets very close, we'll at least see some tropical storm-like impacts. That's going to be a potential for some of us in the northeastern Caribbean. That's what we're going to highlight as we go forward. And here's the spread of uncertainty. You can see the European model is this red line. The green line, that's the American model. You see how they are in very good agreement, making the curve, which would keep the core to the northeast of us, northeast of Antigua, Barbuda, but really the uncertainty lies from anywhere just simply over water all the way on top of us, and that's what we're still fine-tuning together, but watching this, but it will start to make the curve because of a front back to the west. I'll show you those steering conditions. Now, the models show this. This is those same squiggly lines. This is a day out, 2 days out, 3 days out, right? Shows it all strengthening into a tropical storm, and then eventually, as we get about 3 days out, a lot of the models make this either a Category 1 or a Category 2 hurricane, maybe more as we work our way down the road. That's why we need this thing to make the curve. The intensity has been showing, it's kind of been climbing. The outlook for that has been definitely getting stronger. Now, let me show you the American model, then the European model, and then the American model, and then I want to zoom down for us in the Caribbean. So this is the European model. Here we are in the Caribbean. This is tomorrow, so I'm jumping ahead. High pressure's here. That's why it's been moving off to the west. That's like the blocker, but as it moves closer, we get these fronts near the east coast of the United States pressing toward Bermuda. That allows this to start to make a curve because high pressure moves away, the front dips in, and you can see the European model not super strong as a whole, but it is now developing it into a tropical storm. This is Thursday, but it keeps the core just off toward the east of us. Here are these fronts that help kind of pull it up to the north or give it an alleyway to lift up to the north, and you see here by the time we work our way into Friday, this would be well to the north according to the European model, so this would be a good thing. It does show a tropical storm nearby, but curving before it moves in, and then we're starting to see this area here near the Bahamas and southeast coast of the U.S. This almost feels like what we're dealing with Umberto and Imelda, two systems nearby, and yeah, that's going to cause a headache to try to figure this out, but I promise you, I'm watching everything behind the scenes to forecast this as best as possible. Here's Bermuda. European model shows what could become Jerry staying to the east. We'll see if that shakes out. And then on Saturday, this big, sprawly developing system near the Outer Banks of North Carolina that once again could cause some big issues along the immediate coast of parts of the mid-Atlantic, watching the southeast U.S. I'm not sure yet if this drives up to the north, say up toward Cape Cod, or if it kind of swings in toward New Jersey or swings in toward North Carolina. We'll cover that in a moment. So hang with me in this video for this area here. Now, here's the American model. Watching this, it is rather similar to the European model, a little bit stronger, and then we'll zoom down. I'm giving you the broad picture, and I'll cover all of this. I know I'm blocking this right now. I'll cover all of this in just a moment. Here's what's going on by tomorrow. You can see this area approaching. High pressure kind of moves away the blocker. These fronts start to drop in. So with high pressure moving away, this is kind of curls around that area of high pressure. The American model shows a very close approach. This is Thursday. Again, if we need to go into action mode, I'll let you know right away. I'll put out a new video and let you know. So that's why I appreciate you subscribing. But this gets close. Watching these fronts here. This is Thursday. Friday, this area starts to get closer, and we'll zoom down in a moment. But the core of it would be just to the north. The American model has this on Friday, strengthening into a hurricane close by, but still the core to the north. So long the core is to the north, that is a good thing. I don't wish a storm on anyone. I don't root for storms on this channel. That would be a good thing. South of it, seeing a lot of rain, and then watching this area here near the southeast U.S., which we'll highlight in just a moment. But as this area is even close Friday and Saturday, even if it is a miss, the core misses to the north, which would be good. It will work in extra rain in the eastern Caribbean. And then watching down the road for Bermuda, to see how close it gets. Bermuda, as of now, it's showing a similar scenario to the European model where this would get close but stay just to the east. But we'll see how that shakes out, especially with that developing system near the southeast U.S. So here's the closer look. Now, we're going to see a chance of a little development in the bay, albeit briefly, but you see anywhere from the Yucatan Peninsula back through Belize, Guatemala, heavy rain, life-threatening rain. I don't say that lightly in this area, especially Guatemala. Scattered storms elsewhere. Working our way out in time. This is tomorrow. Keeping an eye in this area, but again, there is what looks to become Jerry approaching us in the Caribbean. This area here would have a brief window to develop, point being Belize, Guatemala, Honduras. As this area pushes here, even the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico just brings in some extra rain. So yeah, we're watching two things right here. As we work our way into Thursday, you see some of the additional rain here, but then all eyes on this. Here's the core of it on Thursday, it should be a tropical storm by this point, trying to develop into a hurricane very close to us, watching Antigua, Barbuda, St. Martin, St. Bart's, keeping an eye on Anguilla. As this area lifts to the north, this core would be to the north. That's the strongest, right near the center, but there would be some of these bands just to the south that could give us some rain all the way down toward parts of Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago. But we may at least get brushed by tropical storm conditions in our northeastern islands, and then this area should lift to the north. This is going to be a close call, and it is a trickier forecast. Some are easier than others. It's not as hard as what we dealt with Melda and Umberto, but because we have another system trying to develop over here, there's a lot going on the map. There is some uncertainty, but that's why we're in monitor mode. That's why I do this channel. I will let you know if there are any updates, safety first on this channel. Now, that covers that. We'll go over the rain totals in just a second for us in the Caribbean. But watching this, as we watch this approach the Caribbean, here comes that front through the Atlantic region of Canada, stretching back through Cape Cod and the Mid-Atlantic. And what's going to happen is, as that moves toward Newfoundland in the Avalon Peninsula, you see by Thursday, it starts to leave this extra rain. We've had a lot of rain parts of Cuba and the northern Bahamas, back through Florida. A little area of low pressure starts to develop, and it looks like it's going to lift to the north, right? Starts to lift to the north. Look at this big blob of rain. This is a big issue because as it sits here, it's just going to give that onshore flow again. We can see more homes falling into water in parts of North Carolina. That's where there's certain areas that are susceptible. Keeping things in perspective, that's not for everyone. It sounds a little, I don't want that to sound overly dramatic, but watching this spot here, this will, though, be a significant event, right? There could be, depending on how this shakes out, hurricane wind gusts in parts of the East Coast. We'll see how it shakes out, but you see a big sprawly system on Sunday. The center may be very close to Cape Hatteras here. Watching this, which could become Jerry. Here's Bermuda, but that onshore flow. Now, I'm not sure. I'll let you know what I know and what I don't know. I'm not sure if this is just going to work in toward the Carolinas or just kind of spin its way up towards, say, Cape Cod and the islands. It's kind of a wait and see on that. Very hard scenario here because there's a front back to the west. Does the front kind of help block it, or does it slow down and allow this area to work in? So a lot of uncertainty, but what I am watching is a big coastal storm developing right about here. Impacts no doubt along the coast, and then it's kind of a wait and see to see if this moves inland. But along the coast, especially near North Carolina, and then watching toward the mid-Atlantic, there could be some tropical storm, if not hurricane wind gust out of this. I'm not sure if it'll be tropical in nature, but it may also get a name. So heads up, anywhere from New England south, watching this area very carefully because this is going to spin up close to home. I know it's not getting a lot of attention, but it's going to be a big coastal storm. And you can see some of the modeling out of this. I know these numbers, I don't dive too much into this, but they show a strong system, right? So even if it's not tropical in nature, it's going to be like a tropical storm or even potentially a hurricane sitting somewhere right here with that strong onshore flow. Then it's just a matter of, does it kind of work its way out to sea or does it work inland? But that's what I'll be watching on this channel. But again, anywhere from New England south, especially through North Carolina, but even watching South Carolina, watching this area develop, that strong onshore flow is a huge concern. heavy beach erosion, coastal flooding, and then we'll be watching out for the wind. So Jerry is the next name on the list. That one looks like it may be the one in the Atlantic. We'll see. Whatever area gets the name first gets the name Jerry. Then after that, Karen. So we may have Jerry in the Atlantic and potentially Karen forming very close to the United States. That will be something we'll be watching. In the Eastern Pacific, there's a different set of names. This here's Priscilla. This here's Octave. It did a little bit of a Fujiwara effect as expected. Here's the new area. And then we're watching this moisture near Belize, Guatemala filtering toward more parts of Mexico and toward the Bay. A brief chance that this develops, at the least heavier rain parts of Mexico. Watching this here, this is Priscilla. Priscilla very close to the Baja. We have some tropical storm watches that are out. But what's going to happen is with both of these areas here, they look to swing very close to the Baja, and at the least, they're going to draw in a lot of rain to parts of the Baja. So watching Mexico, southern Mexico on Friday for some additional rain with this developing system. But you see Priscilla, the leftover rain moving into Southern California, Arizona, more parts of extreme northwestern sections of Mexico. And then this one on the heels may eventually do the same thing. This one may be a little bit more over here, bringing some of the extra rain potentially toward New Mexico, other portions of Mexico, and eventually into Texas. So keeping an eye on this for the southwest U.S., parts of Mexico, and monitoring Texas to see kind of this up and around pattern over here to see how much rain moves in. Flooding could be very substantial depending on where the leftovers of both of those systems end up. You see Priscilla, how it kind of works its way up here. Winds right now at about 100 miles per hour, so about 160 kilometers an hour. Tropical storm watches are out right along the southern Baja, watching over toward Cabo San Lucas for some gusty winds, the high seas, and some rain bands that will be working in. Speaking of high seas, no doubt, watching this area here in the Atlantic, the seas are just going to be a mess. And then keeping an eye near North Carolina and South Carolina, seas are also going to be building. This is right through the weekend. This is late Friday, working our way into Friday night and Saturday. Huge seas with this area that works in. Here's meters, feet on the right-hand side of your screen. So it's just going to be an absolute mess, which means even if we don't get a landfall out of this, even if this doesn't move in, we're talking about the coastal flooding possibility. We've seen some scenes of that in the Dominican Republic over the last week or so. These swells are going to be building, absolutely a mess in the water. The Atlantic facing shores, that's where we're going to have some problems with some of the coastal flooding. As far as the rain goes, as this area along the southeast U.S. builds, it's building from Cuba and back toward parts of the Bahamas, northern Bahamas again. Some spots around 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain for 3-day totals. It persists. New Providence over toward Freeport, scattered Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, back through Puerto Rico. Of course, Puerto Rico swinging right back through Dominica. We are in monitor mode now in Guila, St. Martin, St. Bart's. Here's some of the rain from what could become Jerry. We'll see how close this gets, but at the least, we're going to see that increased chance of rain on Friday, dangerous seas, and some gusty winds. We just need the core of this sucker to stay to the northeast, and that's what we'll be watching together. Eventually, we'll get some rain bands working in as well. So as we work our way toward the end of the week, the rain chance only goes up. Scattered areas of rain, even Dominica south through Trinidad and Tobago, while this, what looks to become Jerry, should be just off toward the north. It is going to increase the rain Friday and Saturday. We had some heavier rain here, parts of Guyana from overnight. Been watching Venezuela. These are the big rain totals. Look at us in Belize. Parts of Belize, we could see some spots 4 to 6 inches of rain or 100 to 150 millimeters of rain. Same thing in Guatemala, El Salvador, western Honduras, especially western Nicaragua. In the Pacific side of Costa Rica and Panama, better chance of rain. Here's parts of Mexico. You can see with this area working its way in across the bay. Some of these totals could be around 20 centimeters of rain. Keeping an eye on southern Mexico as well. And here's Priscilla, which will try to move up and around. So as we go down the road, we'll be seeing how some of this rain feeds in here, and then the next system may feed a little bit closer to central portions of Mexico, and then eventually over toward Texas. Texas, not a whole lot right now. So Jamaica, we have about a 50 to 60% chance of scattered showers and storms, a 30 to 40% chance the next 3 days as we work our way through the Cayman Islands, 30% chance today in Trinidad and Tobago, but you could see how it builds, right? We're going to see a better chance of rain by Thursday, but even Friday and Saturday, It could be even higher. Same thing as we work our way into Barbados. Rain chance by the end of the week. Barbados, St. Lucia will continue to grow. 50% chance on Thursday in Barbados, 40% chance in Grenada, but by Friday it will be even higher. Same thing as we work our way back through St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Rain chance today, 30% in Martinique, then building as we swing through the end of the week. Same thing as we get back through Dominica. Rain chance 50% on Thursday, but by Friday it could be as high as about a 70% chance. We'll be watching that as well in Guadeloupe. We swing to the north again, watching this area very closely in the Atlantic. I got you covered in Antigua, Barbuda. Rain chance about 50% by the time we get into Thursday. 30 to 40% chance holding St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, monitoring everything for you. Anguilla, St. Bart's. We know the seas are going to be a mess. We could have some at least tropical storm conditions working in by the time we get into Friday. If we need to go into action mode, I will let you know. Same thing, St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. Rain chance holding at about 50% in Puerto Rico. Scattered areas of rain and storms, and a 30% chance as of now through Thursday as we work our way back through the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Northern Bahamas, that's where some of the heavier rain is. Not as much central and southern. 30% chance in the Turks and Caicos. Scattered areas of rain and storms through the Dominican Republic. Watching out for the river. Same thing, a 50% chance today and tomorrow in Haiti. Belize, rain chance, it is high. Some areas of flooding. I was mentioning those totals, very active around Belize. Meanwhile, Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, rain chance stays on the low side, about a 20% chance over the next 3 days. A 50% chance the next couple of days in Guyana. It is a little bit higher, and a 30 to 40% chance in Suriname. 50 to 60% chance in Cuba. It is going to stay active, especially central and eastern zones. Costa Rica and Panama, again, Pacific side, better chance of some of the rain. Western areas in Nicaragua, watching the flooding. Same thing as we work our way into Honduras, a 60% chance. Some big time downpours possible today. More flooding continues. Guatemala and El Salvador, watching very carefully. The high rain totals, again, lots of moisture around. This is not looking like it's going to end quite any time soon. The active pattern rolls on. Mexico City, rain chance 60% in building. Scattered areas of rain and heavy. We've been seeing that near Cancun, near Cozumel. Been watching Merida, Campeche. Heavy areas of rain. If you get it, we'll be watching out for some flooding. 50 to 60% chance. Northern Colombia and northern Venezuela. And then in Bermuda, all eyes on what could become Jerry. We may again see a system close by, or at least be close to two systems as we work our way through the end of the week and the weekend. Got you covered in Bermuda. So we're in monitor mode, parts of the Eastern Caribbean. Again, anywhere really from Puerto Rico back through Dominica. We're watching this area very, very carefully. We may need to go into action mode in a few of our islands. Jerry is trying to form. Looks like it's trying to form rather soon. And then along the east coast of the United States, that big sprawly storm system that will be developing, that is going to be significant. A lot of uncertainty down the road with that, but I'll be watching that. And then watching near the Bay of Campeche, again, parts of Mexico, Guatemala, Belize for heavier rain to see if anything just spins up. And then the Eastern Pacific with Priscilla, and then another system back behind it that may even bring some of the rain back towards southwestern portions of the U.S. This is a very active October. Thank you for your patience and being part of this weather community. Be safe. If you're dealing with any of this flooding, have a good day ahead.